What's up, everybody? So, who are your muses? You know, you might have heard that term before. And sometimes people will say, well, he is my muse or she is my muse. And I really wanted to talk about this for a minute because I think it's important to understand our history. And inspiration is really where I'm going for here. And perhaps it's the word inspiration that led me to even make this video. There are muses in ancient Greek mythology. There are 9 different goddesses. Now the word to muse, or muse, to means to think. But we have used it in many different contexts in many different words. The goddesses of, the muses, the 9 muses, had to do with poetry, art, even geometry, mathematics, arts and sciences, basically. Creativity. And the idea was that the muse was the inspiration for the person. They would look to their muse in order for inspiration to move a project forward, to find creation, whatever it might be. Now, the word inspire, as before I made this video, I kind of found this interesting. I thought about the word inspire, and I thought about respire, as in respiration. And so sure enough, I looked this up. Inspire, okay, it means to breathe in. And I found that to be a perfect description. When you are inspired by your muse, you're breathing in that information. And then I thought about respire. Respire in Latin means to breathe again. So we have inspire, to breathe in, respire, to breathe again, and then we have expire. And sure enough, I looked up expire, and it means to breathe out. Now that, to me, was very interesting, because I'm fascinated with words and etymology. I want to know where the words come from. And Greek and Latin, the ancient Latin, roots of some of these terms are just fascinating to me. So to be inspired means to breathe in. And that makes complete sense, because the breathing in was like the spirit, the essence of the spirit. You might call it prana, whatever you want to call it, but it's basically learning. And so to muse is to be absorbed in thought, or to be thinking. Now, the word muse comes up a lot. There's amused. If you were amused at something, it comes from Greek amuser, which means basically the same thing. It's to entertain or to deceive, and often this had to do with the comedy or the tragedy, the two sides of the coin, the two happy and sad masks, because the theater was an important part of ancient culture. So that's amused, to be amused, or an amusement park. Then we have museum, one a lot of people might not think of, and that comes from museon, or musion, however it's pronounced. Which means the seat of muses. And that one I found really interesting, because museums are the seat of the muses, where the muses sit. And basically you go to a museum to see inspiration sitting in its place, and that makes complete sense. And then you have music, and that's like pretty much the ultimate one when I think about it, is music. It's the muse. Music is from musike, I believe in Latin is how it's pronounced. And it's the art of muses. So we have a whole variety. There's also be muse, but I won't go into the the etymology and try to get into all the words, but we have the inspire, respire, expire, and it's kind of like this path through life. So the muses were used as an inspiration to poets, philosophers, thinkers, mathematicians, artists, painters, all different types of people, in order to ask for, how can I find truth? In a way, it's like asking God for direction. But, that was probably, more in the age of polygods. Instead of monotheism, we had polytheism for a long time, but it was more than that. I think even the people realized that they were just some symbolic representations of a force of energy that we can't comprehend. Something we're starting to relearn. But it was biophilia is the word for it. That might sound like something, like some disease. Biophilia just means, it's just like, it's the love of, it's the love, just like philo which means the love of, and then Sophia, which is wisdom. Philosophia is the love of wisdom or love of knowledge. Biophilia is bio meaning earth or nature, and philia meaning a love of. It's a connection to nature. And animals, and this is important, this is one of the main points I wanted to make here. Animals know what their purpose is in life. So they know what they need unless they're kept from acting naturally in their natural environment, and then they can go neurotic. Yeah, there are countless stories of animals in captivity that just lost it because they couldn't handle it. They couldn't live their natural patterns, and they didn't know what to do. Biophilia, the connection to nature, that's just the love of it. But I think an understanding of it is what we need. And what I guess I'm saying is that the Muses gave people a connection to nature that we are losing today by trying to look to just science or just religion for understanding, rather than these symbolic representations, these ideas, metaphors. We are unable to act naturally. We are the caged animal. We are the animal in the zoo that does not know its path. And this is one of the most frustrating things. For the last several years, I've tried to figure out the philosophy of what sets man apart from animal. And in my early years, I was an idiot. I thought, well, consciousness, of course. And then I slapped myself and realized, no, animals are conscious as well. And I thought, well, what sets humans apart is definitely emotion. Of course not. You've seen animals mourn their dead and be upset when other animals die. Well, okay, what sets us apart is the fact that we have rituals and ceremonies and that we respect and revere and understand our mortality. Then I see a story about elephants who travel out of their way during their yearly migration in order to visit this one tree where their ancestor died and visit the bones of their ancestors and move the bones around with their trunks, and then they continue on their journey. And it's like miles out of their way. They remember. And so what is it that sets us apart? And I've been through this, thinking about it for so long. We don't know. Our natural instinct is lost. That's what sets us apart. In other words, what sets humans apart from animals is not something necessarily that we've gained, like intellect or awareness, but rather something that we've lost. An innate ability to tell where we come from, what our roots are, and what we should be doing. This has led humans through history to say, well, then what do we do? Well, this is where free will and determinism came from. It's not like I'm the first one to think of this. Of course not. This is an ancient philosophical debate or, discussion or inner thought perhaps about, exactly, do we have free will? Is this all predetermined? What's the point of being a human? If we're here to just think, then are we here to create and invent? And if so, if everything's predetermined, what's the point in anything? And now I've gone from Muses into this great philosophy about the whole point of life, and that's not where I was going to go, but that's where it always ends up. Because inspiration is what leads us to create music, to create art, and all these things represent our larger lack of understanding, perhaps, of the world around us. So, thanks for joining me, thanks for listening. And I'm going to leave it there. Be well, take care of each other, take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.